Hey guys, Logan with Al here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install the brand new B2 Flex. This new carrier is going to allow your rear carrier to be as flexible as possible for your next adventure. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to install the one on the driver's side. We're going to have another video showing you how to install the one on the passenger side. Super similar install, but let's get into it. All right, now before we get into the install, I want to go over all your tools required and what you're going to be receiving in your kit, and then we'll hop on into it. So as far as tools that you're going to need a drill, 3/8 drill bit. Now, when we're drilling through steel, we're gonna want some sort of paint. We use just black Rust-Oleum here, just something to touch it up, make sure you have no rust in the future. You need some blue painter's tape or something similar. Anti-seize, you're gonna want that for some of the bolts. And then we're gonna get to the actual tools. 9/16 wrench, as well as a 9/16 socket. 3/8 ratchet. I like to have a little 3-inch extension. 1/4-inch ratchet with a 3-inch extension as well, and then a 7/32 Allen bit, or you can use an Allen key instead, whatever works best for you. So let's get on into the install and get it all taken care of. All right, now included in your kit that you're gonna receive from us in the box, obviously you'll have the Flex that we have back there. If you're doing just the driver's side, you'll get your driver's side hardware bag, and then for your panels, you'll get 2 smaller bags, 1 bag per panel, and that's gonna have your bolts and your Loctite in it. All right, now you can see that we moved it over to the van. First thing you wanna check before you install your Flex is if you have 180 hinges installed on your van from the factory. If you don't, we'll have another video linked down below that'll show you how to install the 180 hinges. But after we've checked that, obviously we're working on the driver's side. So included in your hardware kit, you'll have this bracket or this plate right here that'll have a nub off the back side of it. So you can see on this van here, we already have the bracket installed. Obviously this is one of our show vans, so we've taken a whole bunch of different carriers on and off of it, done a whole bunch of testing with it. But I'll show you how to install it. Obviously you just won't see the part of me drilling it out. But what we're gonna wanna do, you're gonna take the bracket and you're gonna line it up here with these corners. And then you're gonna try to get a marker just right in the middle to mark out that hole, and then you'll drill through. We can kind of get a close up just to show you what it's gonna look like. Alrighty, now that we have where we're gonna drill out on the front side marked, I wanna show you a few things on the inside before we start drilling. So let's get these doors popped open and we'll get our door panel removed on the inside. All right, now when we go to remove our door panel, it's super simple, depending on what kind of van you have. With this, all you're gonna do is just reach right behind. Pop it right off past the clips. Now, there's some vans from the factory where you're gonna have a different door panel that's just gonna cover this section here. And if you have that, what you're gonna wanna do is you're just gonna clip remover tool, and you're just gonna separate the clips and then pull the panel off. Now, depending on what kind of van you have, you'll see this one right here where this insulation or this foam is, this is already cut out. So you can see we already have this cut out here. If your van doesn't have a cutout here and it's closed off here, you're gonna have to drill all the way through from the front side all the way to the back so we're able to get the nut on there. And you'll just use the included Christmas tree to open up the back side. But if that's something you run into, super simple fix there. All right, now that we're over here, you're gonna wanna take a look at these braces here, as well as these ones here. You wanna make sure that you're able to put some good pressure on them without them having any movement at all. So that way the door is able to support the weight of the carrier, boxes, tire, whatever you put on there, you wanna make sure it's able to support the weight. If there's any movement in these, there's some glue that we use. I'll go grab it in a second to show it to you, but it's just some 3M seam sealer that we use to reseal all of this to make sure that it holds super sturdy and solid and you don't have any issues down the line with your carrier or your door. All right, now you can see this is the 3M heavy-bodied seam sealer that we use to reseal all these brackets on the door, make sure that we're not gonna have any issues down the line. So just wanna make sure of that before you put any weight on the door. That's a lot easier to do before you have the weight on there. All right, now for this next step, you're gonna wanna grab your drill, the included step bit, and then I have a 1-foot-long 3/8 drill bit, but you can get away with this with just a normal length drill bit. We're gonna go ahead and drill through the door right here where we had marked earlier. Now, as I kind of said on the inside, it's depending on your van. If you have the opening on the back already, you're gonna be drilling through about 3 layers. So you're gonna go through your first layer here on the outside, and there's 2 smaller layers on the inside. Now, after we've done that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna grab our Christmas tree step bit, and we're gonna open it up on the front just big enough so that we can get this bracket on there. Once we have it opened up just big enough, we're gonna go ahead, make sure that we put some paint on there to make sure we don't have any rust issues down the line. Get that painted. Once it dries a little bit, we can get that bracket put on there with a 3M, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do next with the hinges. All right, now that we've already drilled through and we got our bracket placed on the outside of the door, our next step, we're gonna be getting our hinge plates and bolts installed. So obviously we have our hinge plates in here. I'll show them to you real quick. Inside that bubble wrap, we have our upper hinge plate and our lower hinge plate here. Now both these are gonna be directional, but I'll make sure that I show you how we put them in there. This is when your anti-seize as well as your painter's tape or something similar is gonna come into play. And then our included hardware bag kit as well. So we're gonna just need our 3/8 by 1/4 inch bolts, washers, and nuts. And then we're gonna go ahead and get them put in there. So I'll show you. I'm gonna tape them in and put some anti-seize on them. That way this can be a one-person install. All right, now we're gonna start with our lower hinge plate. So you can see on here, the bolts are off-centered to the side. They're also a little bit higher. So the way that this is gonna go in, you want them off-centered towards the front of the van and then towards the top. So just like this, and we'll slide it right in there. Now the bolts are gonna go in from the back side. When we put them in there, you wanna make sure you put a little bit anti-seize on them. Obviously these bolts are gonna be exposed to the elements a lot. So I'm gonna get the anti-seize on them, put the plate in place, just make sure it's all lined up well. And then we're gonna put some tape on it, that way the bolts are held in place. And when we go to put the carrier on there, it'll hold itself on there. We're gonna do the exact same thing with the top plate as well. All right, now that we have our hinge plates and our bolts all taped up in place, we're gonna go ahead and go over and grab the carrier. Now, I found it easy, and I'm able to do it by myself, just to hang the carrier on the bolts, and I'll get one nut and washer started on the top, and same with the bottom, and that way it's kind of just free floating there, be able to get the other one started, and then we'll get the third mounting point bolted as well. All right, now that we have our hinge bolts all started by hand, we're gonna go ahead and get the third mounting point taken care of. So we're gonna grab our 4.5 inch long bolt, our bushing, and then nut and washer on the back side. So we're just gonna get it slipped in there for now. This will be the first one that we're tightened down. Now, when we go to tighten down this third mounting point or the bushing, we wanna make sure the bushing just barely has a little bit of pressure on it. We don't wanna over tighten it. Otherwise it'll make the bushing solid and it won't be able to absorb any of the shock. So I'm gonna get that in there for now, and then we're gonna get it all tightened down. All right, now just a few things to note when you're going to tighten down the third mounting point. You want to make sure that you obviously don't over tighten it, as I've kind of already mentioned, but you also want to make sure that the bushing's level. So normally I find that you have to pull the bushing up or the bolt up a little bit as you're tightening it down, just to make sure the carrier is sitting level when you go to tighten it. Now, once that's all tight, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on to the hinges. We're gonna get those all tightened down. So 7/32 and a 9/16 again. When we're doing that, you kind of want to pick up the outside of the carrier as much as you can, just so that it stays completely level when we get it all tightened down. So we're gonna go ahead and get that all taken care of. Alrighty, now that we have the carrier all tightened down, we got our third mounting point as well as all 4 of our hinge bolts, so 5 bolts in total tightened down. We're gonna go ahead and get the interior all reassembled. So obviously I had a little bit of insulation I'm gonna throw back in the door. I'm gonna get my door panel thrown back on there. Now, if any of the orange clips in the door panel stuck in the door, grab a clip remover, pop them out, and you can just stick them right back into the panel super easily. But we're gonna get that put in there, and then I'll show you how to put the panels on there. Obviously, the panels all bolt on the exact same way, but the end result's gonna look a little bit different depending on how you chose to do your adventure. All right, now you can see I kind of just hit the door panel all around to make sure that everything was all clipped in. You'll feel them pop into place, but once it's all good, we're gonna get these doors all closed and we'll get the panels thrown on there. I do like the frame a lot. All right, now you can see right here, we have our lower tire panel with the license plate cut out on there. The upper and the lower panels, obviously they're only gonna bolt up one way. Easy way to tell the difference though, our lower panels are gonna have this angled on the bottom, whereas our upper panels are gonna have the angle on the side. So it'll be just right there instead of being flush. So we'll get this put up there. Now obviously you have your bags of hardware for the panels specifically. In that, you're gonna see some blue Loctite. You're gonna wanna make sure that you use that on these panels. They're going into just PEM nuts, so if we don't use Loctite on them, there's nothing holding the bolt in there. So there's a possibility that over time it could rattle out. But let's get these put on there. All right, now just one small thing to note, when you're going to tighten these down, make sure you have all the bolts in there first, just to make sure everything's aligned. Now, when I go to tighten these down, this row of bolts right here, so both on the top and the bottom, you wanna make sure these holes are as aligned as you possibly can get them. That way, if you're bolting anything on this row, you're actually able to get the bolts all the way through. If it's not aligned perfectly, you might have issues with the bolt overlapping. So we'll get it all tightened down now. right, you can see that we got the bottom panel all on there, all tightened down. Let's get the top panel on there, get this one all tightened down, and your flex is all finished up. All right, that's gonna go ahead and conclude the B2 Flex install. Now follow along with us. We'll also have a video posted for the passenger side, but this was for the driver's side. Now your van and your rear carrier is ready for whatever adventure you may desire. Whether you want a high mounted tire and a box down low, you want a box down low, you want to be able to see out your window, you want to put some bikes on there, whatever your next adventure may require, your van is ready for it now. I'm Logan from Owl. We'll catch you on the next one.